Hey, it's Travis. Too many camp directors run just on gut feel. Our free Resilient Camp Blueprint Diagnostic is your dashboard for resilience. Take it today at camp.mba/Travis. Again, that's camp.mba/Travis. What would you do if you were starting a camp in 2025? Chris and I are here to tell you what we would do.
This is CampHacker. Come find our show notes and our blog for camp directors and leaders at camphacker.tv.
A big thanks to our sponsors who make the CampHacker Podcast possible.
Imagine camp registration software that actually gives you more time to do what you love. With UltraCamp, you can effortlessly track attendance, manage staff, streamline registration, and more. Explore now at ultracampmanagement.com/camphacker.
Hello, Camp Mavericks, and welcome to the CampHacker Podcast. My name is Travis Allison. I am so excited, Chris, to celebrate with you episode 200. Yes, what an incredible milestone. Thank you to everyone who's been listening for the last 14 years as we've done this. And huge hat tip, huge thanks to Dan and Gabs and Joe for their leadership and what all they offered on the time here. We love you all and can't wait to keep having you back on the show. Thank you also so much to Matt for taking CampHacker, this little thing that Gabs and Joe and Dan and I just farted around with, and making it real. It would never have happened without you. So thank you so much to all of that. And thank you to everybody who's been listening, who's left comments on the YouTubes, who've sent us messages, etc. Amazing. So grateful to be in this position. And thank you because of all of you who've listened over the years and all of you who've put so much in, all of our guests, on and on and on. I am grateful. And I'm grateful to be doing it now with you, Chris.
I am so grateful to be here. This has been... Don't make me cry at the top of the episode, but this has been phenomenal. This has been so much fun. Listen, I would talk to you about camp even if we weren't recording it. Yeah. So that's the bonus. The bonus is that, and I got to say, thank you, people who email me to say that you listen to me and Travis talk and that we are helpful to you. I love that. I love compliments. So please send me compliments, chris@planetchris.net. I love it. Keep it coming. Thank you.
Yes. Well, we won't push on your cry button anymore. I want to say thank you to the supporters, the advertisers that we have in particular. At this time of the season, we're thankful to UltraCamp for sticking with us for the whole season of ads. And there you go. My name is Travis Allison. I'm a summer camp consultant specializing in getting parents to open, read, and act on your communications with them.
And my name is Chris Hudson. I'm a camp consultant specializing in diversity, equity, inclusion, and staff management. And once upon a time, I started a camp called Camp Highlight. You should check it out. It's my favorite camp in the entire world. Yours too. You just don't know it yet.
As soon as you know. Right on. Well, we're trying to figure out what to do for episode 200, and we've been talking a lot, really the last two seasons, about the future of camp. And so we thought we'd make that a little more practical while still imaginary. So Chris and I are going to start a camp in 2025 in our minds, and we're going to talk you through what that process looks like. Just so you know, we have come up with a camp name already. We've smashed our two names together, and we're so excited to introduce you to Camp Hudson.
Yeah. Get it? Because it's HUD from my name and SON from Allison, so it's Camp Hudson.
Yep.
This also happens to be my name. It works on every level that you can imagine.
And even if we reversed it, the answer would still be this. It would still be Allison, and it would still be half of each of our names.
Get into it, North America.
There you go. Right on. So we've talked out of the show about the future of camp. You will have had a chance to listen to my big discussion about the mentality that camp boards, camp organizations, and camp leaders need to have to get to Camp 2035. That discussion I had with Stefan. But Chris and I wanted to talk about what that looks like practically. If we were starting a camp in 2025, 2035. So Stefan and I 2035, Chris and I 2025. What would be important for you, Chris? How would you open that discussion when we sat down in a room with some markers and Post-it notes?
So just so people know, when Travis and I were talking about, what are we going to do for the episode, and he pitched this idea, I immediately grabbed a pen and paper,
started writing
down these ideas. And now I'm afraid I'm going to start a new camp. I'm afraid I'm going to do it. And no, I don't want to. I really don't. Oh, I'm so tired.
Unless someone wants to give us a ton of money and sponsor us to start a new camp.
Even better, if someone out there has a ton of money and you're starting a camp, just call me. I'll help.
Yeah. Just pay us to help you.
But I can't stay up all night doing this kind of stuff anymore. I'm an older man now. Okay, but your question was.
Yeah.
Honestly, the first thing I scrawled down was community. That's the first thing. Like, that's the first thing I would build on. Like, I know we think of camp as like this episodic thing that happens for 1, 2, 4, 6, or 8 weeks during the summer, and then sort of like, all right, see you next year. But like in 2025, it's so different than when I started doing camp in 1992, 1993. Young people today, both staff and kids, I don't know if they're looking for, but whether they like it or not, their communities are 360, 24/7, 365. Like, they expect to be in a community that doesn't ephemerally disappear like some sort of like Mary Poppins fantasy. So that's the first thing I would think of. Like, okay, I want to build a camp, and great, we'll get into all the practical parts. Like, what do I want the camp to include? Fine. But also, how do I connect the children? How do I connect the campers throughout the year?
Yeah.
And how do I connect the staff throughout the year both as culture building and retention? And how do I connect the families? I'm not just talking about the monthly newsletter. I don't think that's going to go away. And I don't think it should. I think the monthly newsletter is great. But how do I connect these families to build community during the year? That was the first thing I thought of, because I think that's what camp could be right now.
Yep.
It's an affiliation you have. It's not just an event that you participate in. Yep. But what was your top number one thing?
Oh, definitely community. I agree with that. And one of the things that I think may surprise people based on my stories and my experience is that this would be a day camp. It would not be an overnight camp.
Oh, interesting.
And it would be in the city, town, whatever, wherever it would be quite local. Because I think it's incredibly important for exactly what you said: community building, maintaining connection, becoming the kind of parenting resource that you and I want to be. We have to be close to them.
Yeah.
And I agree, we could do a lot of this stuff online, but I think everything's teaching us that people are tired of online stuff and want to be around people. And in my head, and you can push back on this if you want, Chris, in my ideal world, our new camp would be for our families what church was for me growing up. Not a place of faith, but a place of community. I don't care about the faith stuff anymore, but I want that local small community connection, the village kind of stuff. So I don't know what you think about it. For me, it's just that feeling of community is missing. And all of those old-fashioned clubs and evening activities and things that families did together. I read this really fascinating article that friends don't hang out anymore.
Yes.
They schedule things together. Yes.
Yeah. And that's really interesting. Although, I mean, on one level, I think that's the evolution of of social interactions. Like, people are thinking about their schedule. On top of that, you and I were just talking about this before recording, about like how, like, my business partner, we used to be friends, and then we stopped hanging out. We started scheduling meetings. Like, can I get on your calendar? I think a lot of that has to do with just the evolution of the way that people live, and that there's so much competition for our time. But also, I love what you're saying about making it sort of, kind of like a static thing in people's lives. Like, this is something I can partake in, much like people do church on Sunday, sort of take it for granted that this thing is there. And I know for if you're listening to this, you're like, wow, that sounds like a huge undertaking. I don't know if it's as big as people think. I don't know if it's as big as people think. This is something that we were evolving to at Camp Highlight, and it took me too long. I think I've talked about this here before. It took me too long to recognize that's what people were using the space for. The way that the families are interacting. Travis, I can't tell you the amount of times that people have called me up to ask me how they should parent their children. You know what I mean? Like involving me in that, involving other parents in that. And I think that is, thanks to the internet, bringing people closer together. I think that's the expectation that people have now. When you join, quote unquote, join a community, the expectation is that it's accessible to me outside of just like the couple of weeks in the summer. It's interesting that's both our number ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not surprising. This is why we get along so well.
I was going to say, friends agree. Oh, shock.
But so I think the risky part of this is, are we basically describing becoming a community center?
What's risky about that? Listen, we're always talking about what's next for camp, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to move into a direction. I'm not afraid we can't, it's not the 1900s anymore. It hasn't been for 25 years, people. So like, I'm not afraid to move towards something. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, because you mentioned community center, you know what? It would not be on my list.
Yeah.
Owning land.
Right.
Owning structures.
Yeah.
Rent. Find a community partner with space. Do what you need to do. And work out with them some sort of partnership where you can do events there. Yeah. So much when I started doing camp stuff more than just counseling, when I started getting to administrative stuff, someone said something to me. They're like, running a camp is really an exercise in land management. Like, how do you make the land profitable outside of summer? Like, how do you it's about nature, it's about structures, it's about engineering. And that struck me so hard because when I came into this, that was the furthest thing from my mind.
Yep.
Like I didn't think about like that would be what my job is.
Yeah.
So if I started today, I'd be like, no, people own land. There's land all over the place and other people own it and I don't need to own it. That's cool. We can just do it. But that would also be my thing. And I love what you're saying about being local too. That would give so many opportunities there.
And I want to be like deep in my camp director heart. I want to be the place that brings together people from different experiences and different places and all that. But that's not where I'd start. I'd figure that out, but that's not if I had to start a camp in 2025, that's not what I'd start. I'd start off by serving local, and I would start off by. And it would be around, like it's the community center. Like I want those families to know our people. I want those families to know Chris and I and get to appreciate us and trust us, obviously, like Chris is talking about. But there will be community partners, because partnerships is how we would grow this, I think. Just talking to the right groups. There'll be community partners who have, looking for these kind of experiences for their participants, for their clients, etc. There will also be community partners who own buildings that need, need clients, need to be able to rent them out.
I think there's a vision here. Can I be really honest with you? I'm like, how much do I want to say this publicly? Because I have so many good ideas in my head. I don't want someone else to do it. But, and then also part of me is like, am I just pitching something like Boys and Girls Club? Am I pitching like, Girl Scouts? Am I pitching just another one of those things? And I don't know. I'm just trying to keep my mind open. Maybe I am. I think there is something that I think when camp started, it was a lot about nature education. It was about it was sort of like civilizing your child through decivilizing them, and there was a lot of problematic issues around that. But like, I think that has changed in the last 100 years, and I think that I think about what I do as a camp director, or what I did as a camp director, was a lot about connection, connecting children to each other, about social emotional learning, about independence, about courage. And while some of those themes are universal, I do think like the SEL piece, especially, I think that's what parents are looking for. And being able to capture people throughout the year on that, you could really do some stuff. I mean, I'm talking about character and moral education, which is I always thought that was the second thing that we did. We did nature education, independence, and then moral education. But I love this. I love this idea of like that sort of thing. What about staff? What are you thinking about for staff?
Do you mind if we just hold on with the moral education?
You want to stick with
education?
Yeah, please. Because
I've talked a couple times this year to different camp friends about my camp experience growing up, and it was such an interesting thing. Number one, I'm sure I've said this here before, but it was such a weird part of me being a consultant and getting to see lots of other camps to have people who run long session camps tell me that you can't make a difference in a kid's life in a week. And my gut reaction is I'm standing in front of you because that happened. Like I went to camp for 6 days a year and before I was a staff member. So I went to a different camp, but I think lots of camps make a difference. Camp Highlight obviously makes a difference in a kid life in 6 days. So I think that's totally possible. My point is something happened to the people I grew up at camp with who are now doing amazing things in the world. Our generation of camp people that I grew up with are doing so many amazing things and involved in great social justice projects and so much. And that's because of the person who was leading camp when we were there. But one of the parts of it was we weren't just talking about what we could be in the world or what the world should be. We got to practice it there. So I grew up, and I didn't have a word for this until like 10 years ago. But when I was a senior camper, 13 and 14 and 15, there would always be a day or at least a half a day of a live action role play based around world justice.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't know what the term was, but I learned so much about the world because I was just a straight cis white boy from Innerkip growing up on a farm. But I learned so much about the world because Bob Ferris, my old camp director, was so passionate about teaching us and having us practice the things and having us really feel some things that were beyond our own experiences. And I'm interested in that. Like, I'm interested in getting people to understand the world's bigger, has more problems, but has more possibilities as well than their own lives. And giving them space to practice being active in, I'm going to call it justice for simplicity's sake.
I'm going to push back on you because a lot of people would be like, I don't want to get into all that. I just want the kids to have fun.
But is that our camp? That's not.
No, that's not our camp. That's not our camp. And just so you know, like, I don't know, we're not being prescriptive. Travis and I are just talking. Yeah. So like, we're just dreaming. Like, if you're thinking, oh God, that sounds like such a heavy lift. Yep. It is a heavy lift. And yeah, if you want to get kids together and just do soccer with them, great. No one is saying that that's bad.
The key word is together, in our opinion.
Yeah, I want to be really clear here because, like, in my work, I know people feel judged when I show up, and I'm like, "Oh, do you talk to them about this? Do you talk about that?" It's fine if you just run a tennis camp and you want to focus on tennis. That's great. You know what kids need to do? Love and appreciate and enjoy tennis. So go on with your bad self. I'm just saying, like, these are our thoughts about where we are and maybe what our communities need. But I love that. I mean, I just love doing moral education. I love it's the one thing. This is why I fell in love with camp. It's the part of my schooling that I thought was missing.
Interesting.
You know, I grew up loving superheroes. And I'm gonna tell you a secret that nobody knows, but now everyone will know. Camp Highlight, every after school that I was director at, everything I've done has always been patterned after the X-Men and Professor Xavier's School of Gifted Youngsters. The idea of bringing people together and educating them about the world and how to fight back against injustice. Like, it's always been the thing. When I found my old notebook. Yeah, I'll show it to you someday. I found my old notebook where I just was in my backyard and I was jotting down like, it'd be cool to start a group of young people who do this, that, and the other thing. And I really thought it was going to be a school. And on the second page at the bottom, I wrote, "Is this a summer camp?" and circled it 3 times. And then that was the first page of my highlight book. It was, but anyway, we both share that. Again, friends agreeing, what a shock. But that would be the second thing. And I would extend that to, like I said, staff and families, like forming that community. As you know, I'm always so Chicken Little, sky is falling about staff retention and recruitment. And if I was going to start something today, the way I would amp that thing up on social media like it's the next Marvel movie coming out. The way I would get people excited about the project and really get the buy-in, as opposed to just like a scramble for bodies at in April, the way that I would do that would be so intense. People would think a new Marvel movie is coming out. And the way that would get marketed early and often would be intense.
So that's practical. Let's take it out of the Camp Hudson cloud and bring it down to the practical of Camp Hudson. So getting the word out, and in Chris and Travis's new camp, getting the word out, I agree that we would invest a ton of money in video, social media, and images and imagery and all that stuff. I would do all of the practical things that people have heard me say forever. I would build our email list. I would, I would get people to let us know they're interested, and I'd have a way to follow up with them, all of that, but I would get interest. Following that logical path of marketing, it's a definition from a guy named John Jantz, which is marketing is getting people who have a need. In this case, it's having kids having a community and a connection and all that, to know, like, and trust you. So you have to show up. They have to know that you're there. They have to understand your name. They have to know you exist, etc. So I would definitely use social media and community partnerships to do that. And then I would make sure we could reach out to people directly to build the like and trust piece of this. You like what we represent, you like the way we think about things, and we would work hard to build trust in us and our staff before the season. I think maybe this is the other piece of this, the practical piece, Chris, is I would not run an 8-week program in 2025. I would start at 2 weeks or 1 week or something, just to be able to get things rolling, get the good name out. I mean, I don't know how we pay for all this stuff, but that's not today's job.
Come on, that's not this episode.
What else is important to you?
I think about young people today, like when we think about young people, I'm talking about staff, and just I'm thinking about how I was when I joined a staff in the early 90s. And what I was looking for, and it's so different than I think what young people are looking for today. It's different and similar. One, young people today, and this is just a fact, look it up, are more isolated than they've ever been. The mental health numbers would stagger, confuse, and upset you. I think offering to young people an opportunity to interact with people and make friends who aren't necessarily in their school or at their job, I think that's a really big draw. Right. I think if you pitched it as at Camp Highlight, the way that we pitch it is like, come hang out with some kids, teach them how to be better, and meet your new very best friends. Yeah. And that connects with people. This is what they want. It's a social thing for them too. The work is hard, yes, whether it be day or sleepaway, it's very intense. But I would really amp that up and be like, I don't want it to overshadow the work that we're doing with the kids, but that would really be part of the marketing, because I think that's what young people really want. One of my kids once, I love when one of my adult kids says this to me, like, Chris, you said something to me once when I was graduating high school. And I'm like, really? What? Because I don't remember, And his name is John. He said, you told me that the real challenge in making friends was like senior year of college, because it's the first time in your life that you have to think about how to make friends.
People aren't coming.
You never had to think about it before. Yeah. You're not just in a classroom of 25, 28 people and you look around and be like, and he was like, I really took that to heart. Because he said, you told me I really had to put in the effort in a way that I never would have to before. What if we just helped people with that? What if we helped 20, 21, and 22-year-olds with that?
Yeah.
Through the power of camp. You know what I mean? So that would be my practical consideration. A lot of it to be around marketing and also tone, like how you present the job, and how you present the experience. Am I describing a cult?
Well, that is the constant question I think camp people need to ask themselves, because that comes up an awful lot. But we only want like the good parts of the cult.
Oh my God, that's the soundbite.
You wouldn't have to worship Chris and I.
No, just the good parts of a cult. Oh, yeah, Lord. This episode's gonna have to be edited. I just jotted this down. I don't know if this theoretical or practical. Environmental impact is something that I would consider in a way that I never considered before. Yeah. And on top of that, what are we doing with our waste? What kind of supplies are we getting? Where are we getting them from? Like, I can't tell you. I don't feel bad about it now, but I'm just like, wow, I would never do it today. Like years ago, we used to have like glitter wars with the kids.
Right. Yeah.
And all I can think about is like all that glitter in the ground forever, because it was before biodegradable glitter. Like there's a lot of things that we did that I'm like, oh, we probably could have handled that better. Wow, we created a lot of garbage for a 3-minute activity. Yeah. From food fights, which by the way, never do a food fight ever. But from food fights to like, activities where we would just have to trash through a whole bunch of supplies, like 16 rolls of paper towels or something like that. I would be a lot more considerate. Also, budget wise, none of that makes sense for the environment. Also doesn't make sense for budget. I think about that. We thought it'd be so much fun, but how much money were we spending on like a 5-minute like marshmallow activity? How many marshmallows did we burn through, like having the kids throw them at each other and then not eat them afterwards? So that's more theoretical, but it's also practical because it comes down to dollars and cents.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would advocate for some sort of decision-making framework like Beth's 4S test, because food fights and wasting toilet paper and all that stuff doesn't pass the 4S test. So just something that the kids and staff can make their own decisions that fit with whatever we decide sort of the moral guidance of this is. There's a framework that we would create, so there's some good decision making that it incorporates all this, and it would be in signs everywhere, and everybody would be responsible for knowing it and living it. What other points?
If this was a nonprofit venture, and everyone does this, I don't know how to say this, I would pick the board super carefully. And the board limits would be exacting and non-negotiable, right? You come in for 3 years and then you're gone. And then your responsibility is to find someone slightly different from you to replace you.
Fill your spot.
Yeah, slightly different from you.
Yeah.
Different gender, different community, different religion, just someone slightly different from you. It's just so we don't have the problem of sort of like, the board is all men, and it's been all men for 12 years because no one really put any attention to that. Similarly, the same thing with leadership. And, this is controversial. I stepped down as camp director from my camp because I thought 15 years was a long time, and that I feared being out of touch with both the staff and the campers. And I figured it would be the best thing for the camp to recycle, right? Recycle administration. Like I stepped in and I brought up the assistant director, interdirector. He's 15 years younger than me. He's just more with it and hip, which is something that the kids are saying nowadays, hip, and groovy. He's groovier than me. Yeah. So that I would similarly with upper levels of administration, when you take the job, I'd be like, okay, this is a 5 or 10 year assignment if you want to stay. Yeah. But let's start thinking about at the beginning of your second year succession planning. Let's start thinking about that, because too often I work with camps who, the assistant director, the director announces they're leaving, the scramble to be like, oh my God, is the entire organization going to collapse? And I'm like, we could have done
nobody
something.
knows what this person knows, let alone the research problem. But yeah, they just don't know it.
That's something that we could have started at the end of your first year. We could have started that thinking. Doesn't mean you're getting fired. Doesn't mean that you want to leave. It's just succession planning should be part of the everyday discussion of administration.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What programs do you want? What do you want the kids to do?
Me personally, all the fun stuff. Like, I'm not a sports guy, but I love when kids love running around. It'd be
sports, like a field games kind of thing.
Yeah, it'd be games, it'd be STEM, it'd be arts and crafts. And so it'd be all like the camp stuff, whether it be day or sleepaway. And there'd be a technology piece. Okay. I know there's a lot of conversation about, do we allow phones at camp or not? Lately, Travis, I don't think we've talked about this offline, but like lately, I'm really leaning towards letting kids have their technology at camp and being very active and direct in talking to them about how to use it, how to use it outside of camp and how to use it here at camp, when to use it, when not to use it, the benefits and value of taking a break from it. Because I think that could be so instructive to have your phone with you and then decide, okay, everyone, we're not going to be using it from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. How does that feel? What does that bring up to you? How, at the end of the day, are you craving it or do you feel like you got a good break? That's a habit that they can take back into the outside world.
Yeah.
So I think I don't exactly know what that would look like, but it'd be something around technology and how to use it. Not simply saying we don't allow technology here, because not for nothing. I don't know. They use technology to do absolutely everything.
Yeah.
I fear that if we introduce a space where we don't allow them to have it, how can they really trust us to have their best interests at heart? How can they trust us to prepare them for their future, not even their future, their present? It seems a little restrictive and reductive to me. But what are your thoughts on programs?
It wouldn't necessarily be a program. It would just be throughout everything. The one thing I would insist on is a ton of singing and music. It would be essential.
Group
I would fight you on that.
Group singing. You wouldn't have to fight me on that. I'm in.
Yeah.
Group singing.
I would begin every day and end every day singing together, and then I would have the staff singing as part of their going away, their end of the day, like sing a song together is the last thing you do. I'd have lots of drumming. But it would be singing music all day, every day with a lot of intention around that. I would start teaching kids I would do all the chants and cheers and campy stuff 100%, but I would be teaching kids how to sing and sing in harmony from the first day they got there.
Okay. So now we're at different parts.
I'm not, and I don't even want to be a music camp. I just want to be a camp that sings together.
I love that. But can you say just a little bit more? What's the value of that to you?
Well, it is my experience. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a camp that sang a lot. I was hired and recruited to the camp that Beth and I ran. I was recruited to bring music to that camp. Mm-hmm. It's back to community. Like here we are sitting together, doing a thing together, literally in harmony. And the interesting studies about the physiological connection of singing together. Everybody's heartbeat gets synced and their brainwaves get synced, and like that is so powerful. And there's lots of studies about people who do choir who have who maintain a feeling of community and connection and safety after they leave choir for a week. It stays with you, that deep down impact of singing and making music together.
That's lovely. Heartbeats and brainwaves sync up.
Totally. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right, that's what we're doing at our camp for sure.
Yeah,
it's going to be like a musical. Everyone's singing all the time.
Yeah, of course it is. I love it.
I love that too.
I would insist on it.
Yeah. What else are you thinking? Let's come up with one more thing.
Those were my. I mean, I want it all to be LARP and roleplay too, but that
of course you do.
That's not my put my foot down thing like music and singing is. But it doesn't have to be Travis and Chris's nerd camp, but it can be because there are a lot of nerdy kids that need community pretty badly.
And there's a lot.
I want it to be a whole community is nerdy.
There's a lot of kids who. This should be a whole episode, but role playing is the ultimate socio-emotional learning activity. Like understanding your own emotions, accessing them, presenting them, understand the emotions of others in a context, whether real or imagined, right? Understanding that in a context, playing through that, working together to accomplish a goal. Yeah. It doesn't have to be rolling dice, right? It doesn't have to be like, I'm the wizard, like running through. It doesn't have to be that. But I love having like an experiential component.
Yeah, there you go. That's the best way to frame it.
I think role play, the term role play can be a little divisive because it either seems to be very nerdy gamey or very adult time. Sure. But something experiential where the kids get to not just, at Camp Pilot, we talk a lot about emotions. We talk a lot about it. Yeah. But having them actually work through it, I think would be really great. I don't always know what that would look like. Yep. But that would be one of the core components, I think, for me, for sure.
Here's my last thing, and this is bigger picture, less programming, but bigger picture, but philosophy is that it would be incredibly important to me that the community ethic is we work together to make this place better every day. We're not resting on anything. We're always testing things. We're always making small, tiny improvements. And that goes from campers to the top.
Yeah. And you're not a participant. You are a member.
Yeah.
The subtle shift in language, but I think that's really important. Like you're not just passively enjoying this.
You're not client.
You're actively enjoying it. And you're part of the fabric of this place. Whether you're here 1 year or 2, you can always claim this place as your own.
Oh, yes. That's so. Yeah.
Like at our camp, you're always a highlighter. It doesn't matter when you came or for how long, or if you left midweek, you're always a highlighter. You always will be. And that's, I love that.
Yeah. Again, that's something that
goes back to community.
Has carried on from when Beth and I left. Is anybody who's been at camp before, when they show up at camp, the first thing is said to them is welcome home.
Same.
And yeah, I love that. Yeah. This is your place. It's always your place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a place.
Listen, Travis, do you want to start a camp? Oh no. Listen, anyone out there, if any of this vibes with you and you are young and spry and have a lot of time on your hands, but you need help.
And went 2 advisors with a lot of experience. And lots of friends with amazing experience that can round out the dreameriness of Chris and I.
Yeah. And honestly, like all jokes aside, if you're out there and listening, and we already did a podcast about this, if you're out there and listening to this and you're like, should I start a camp? Sure, you should. Yeah, you should. It's not as overwhelming as you think. Right. You can do it, which is literally the title of the episode when we talk about starting camps. You can do it.
Yep. Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you. That was so amazing.
I'm having fun.
Good. I want to take a second before we move on to the next part of the podcast to thank Ultra Camp for sponsoring us this whole season. What I want to say is you should go check out Ultra Camp. Go to ultracampmanagement.com/CampHacker. CampHacker's all one word, because they've put together some packages there for people to help with marketing, getting new camps to Camp Hudson. And that's all available at ultracampmanagement.com/CampHacker. And Ultra Camp knows that what you got into was this kind of passion, this fire of excitement of doing this, and they want to be the ones that support you and help you with things, so you're not stuck on the paperwork, you're not stuck on reports, etc. So they've crafted this all-in-one platform to streamline the management of your program. It includes powerful tools that put you in control of your information, such as automating critical processes as part of your registration and your billing, generating custom reports to gain the insights that you need to learn to make a camp that changes and gets better all the time. It helps streamline your hiring processes, including background checks as part of your subscription to UltraCamp. And it allows you to quickly communicate with your clients and donors. UltraCamp's goal is to help camp leaders like you spend less time in the office and more time out there doing what you love. If you want to know if UltraCamp is right for you, they offer free customized demo sessions so you can see their software in action in examples based on your experience in your camp. Sign up at ultracampmanagement.com/CampHacker. Chris, that means it's time for our tool of the week.
Tool of the week.
I think I want you to start because yours fits a lot of the themes we've been talking about today very directly.
Okay. So I'm going to recommend a game. It's a card game called Once Upon a Time. And it is a group storytelling game. So this is how it works. Everyone gets an ending to a story. And the ending is something like, and they lived happily ever after, or he learned the error of his ways and he never left home again, or whatever. It's an ending like that. And there's a whole bunch of cards that just have words on them. The word could be princess, castle, sword, or, a fall, or something breaks. And in your hand, you have all these cards with words on it. And you are trying to tell a story using those cards, using the elements on the cards to aim towards the ending of your story. So if my story is, and they lived happily ever after, and my cards are princess, journey, whatever, I'd be like, the princess went on a journey to find a prince. Like, I'm telling a story. The problem is everyone else is also telling a story, and they have a different ending, and they can seize control of the narrative from you. The reason why I love this, Travis, is because it encourages you to improv, to yes and. It encourages you to listen to what people are saying, right? To constantly process that, because while other people are telling your story, you have to be like, how am I going to get this back on track to get to my ending so I can win this game? So the reason why I suggest it is I think it'd be great for your staff. It gets silly fast, but the building block elements are always there. Listening comprehension, flexibility, ability to improv, yes and as opposed to no but. And just cohesion and fun. I think it's a great thing to do. You can slam it down the table with staff and it lightens up the mood while still delivering. I think it's some pretty solid basic training. So again, it's called Once Upon a Time. There's a lot of expansions. Just get the general one. I got the shipwreck expansion, and then all of our stories are about ships at sea, and that was very boring. But check it out. It's so much fun.
Awesome. Do they have a sci-fi version?
No, it's very sort of fantasy oriented, although you don't have to keep it there. It's actually more funny if you tell a modern story with the elements on the card. How do you tell a modern story when the element you have to work into your story is Wicked Witch? That could be hilarious. So figure it out. It's fun.
That's great. Have you ever played a game called Gloom?
Yes.
Gloom's a little more cutthroat than what this sounds like, but there's many similar elements of trying to bring the story back and all of the good improv stuff too. Okay. I am not recommending Gloom at this point, although I enjoy the game. I don't think it's a good tool of the week at this point. What I am recommending, I have tried more and more the longer we've done CampHacker, I have tried to be more and more open about my own mental health struggles. And I found a tool that I think is really interesting. I've been using it for a month, so it's not a lifetime commitment at this point, but it's something interesting for me that I recommend. It's an app called Finch. And some of you may have heard of this. Is a long, one of the first couple of years, one of my tool of the weeks was Habitica, which is a to-do app that kind of is in a fantasy world, and you get points for armor from doing things. And they've developed that a lot, and I like it. Finch is similar. It kind of feels a little more like it's Tamagotchi. It's a little more fantasy, like not, I don't know. It doesn't matter. The metaphor is trying to keep this little creature alive and grow this creature, which you do by setting goals and fulfilling them. And I like Finch better than Habitica because there are some built-in mental health tools right in the app. So it's not just goals and completion and points. There are the tools there. Like if you need a break, here's a breathing thing. If you feel an anxiety attack coming on, here's a breathing exercise for getting ready to go to bed. Here is a 3-minute exercise you could do every day that is just some stretching. And, so all those things are built into it. And I found it really helpful. And I am going to, in the show notes at camphacker.tv/podcast, you will search for Finch, you'll find this, and you'll find a link to add me and my, I don't know, imaginary friend or whatever, my character. You can connect on there. And it's been great for me. I love having the idea of camp directors just helping each other out on a daily with little low effort things that just makes people feel connected. So I hope you do that and add me, but I hope you at least download Finch, try it out. It's not, I mean, it's medium expensive. It's probably $50 or $60 for a year. But with the tools that are included, you could stop paying for meditation apps and, all those other little things like that. So totally recommend it. It has been really quite good.
Awesome. I'm going to check that out.
Please. Right on. So, great discussion. Excellent. Episode 200, Chris.
Yes. Congratulations.
Yeah. And thank you for being a part of it and keeping CampHacker going with me.
Please. Thank you. As you already know, I love this. I'm having so much fun. If you're listening to this, I hope you have fun with us. I hope it's both educational and fun, just like camp should be.
Thanks for the evening, friends.
The CampHacker Podcast is brought to you by Beth and Travis Allison, summer camp leadership training and marketing consultants. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Camp Pros. We love that our industry is built on sharing. In order to foster that spirit, if you've gotten even one good idea from a Go Camp Pro podcast, a masterclass, from the Summer Camp Pros group on Facebook, at a conference, or wherever else, we ask that you give credit where credit is due. That way, we can encourage camp pros to keep freely sharing their brilliant ideas and make the camp industry better. Thanks very much.
Hey, it's Travis. Camp directors often tell me they're just too tired to take on anything new. That's exactly why my free Resilient Camp Blueprint Diagnostic exists. It doesn't add work, it shows you progress. Quick, free, repeatable, you'll know if your systems are paying off without the guesswork. Try it today at camp.mba/Travis. That's camp.mba/Travis.